Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. WTUG Sport at W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. A Town Square Media station.
Alabama 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched the work in the weight room. And you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to take it, and I running back coach didn't take the pass. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you an hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an inside perspective. It's time for the Martin Show on your home of sports and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial, the Martin Houston Show fan page on Facebook. It is a beautiful, beautiful Thursday morning, and we can rejoice because this is a day that the Lord has made. So let's rejoice and be glad. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. So encouraging you to be that difference maker is what it's all about. Good morning, Joe. How you doing, sir?
Oh, Martin, I'm having a great day. Excited to see what we get into on a Thursday. Enjoyed the week so far. Let's wrap it up in a big fashion.
Get things going like we've been doing all week long, inviting you, the listener, the viewer, the chatter, the interactor, to get involved with the 904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. Taco Casa, quality, taste, value, under the biggest cactus in town. Once again, that's 205-342-9904. Or you can follow us, give us a like, give us a shout out, tag us, like us, follow us, and chat with us on at Martin Houston, at Martin Houston 35, and Martin Houston Live on Facebook. Good morning to all. And today we're looking at a couple different topics, and we'll open the playbook. Who you recruit from an existing roster with the new transfer rule? I'm going to go out to Tide 100.9 and check out the story done by our very own producer and brand manager, Mr. Joe Gaither, talking about if you were Nick Saban, who would you poach from opposing teams? And you may not have a particular player this morning, but you might have a position. I'd love to hear that. Or you may have a particular player name in mind. We can have that conversation. Also, there was an interesting poll, AP poll, top 25. Top past 10. And what I mean, it's the AP poll in the last 10 years. They ranked the top 10 teams, looking for most overrated, most shocking, maybe the same one, least accomplished of the group. Could be all the same team with that label, but which one of those would you say? And that's put out on Twitter, and we'll retweet that so you can see it. But Fox College football. See just how dominant Alabama has been in terms of the AP poll, but they got a couple other teams nipping right on their heels. Also, NFL, interesting week 1 matchups potentially. We'll talk about that here in just a moment to kick things off, but interesting week 1 matchups, potential matchups between former Alabama wide receivers, former quarterback, as well as 2 Alabama quarterbacks potentially heading off against each other. And then, of course, we'll have Hank South 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting, who will join us in the third quarter. And then, of course, the Houston Show, the Stand Up Bama Sports, your show, your team. So we always have the miscellaneous topics that you may bring to the conversation, and you're always welcome to do that. One potential conversation could be the snub, apparently, by an organization out there that did not list any outside linebackers in the conversation for top pass rusher. So, like I said, a lot of conversation to be had out there, Joe. But before that article you wrote at Tide109.com, what do you think about the interesting potential matchups for Alabama, former Alabama wide receivers? Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley will be facing Devontae Smith on the receiving end, Jalen Hurts. So interesting matchup to say the least.
Definitely an interesting matchup. I think that we'll have to see which of the 3 Alabama receivers ends up having the best day. I think that Julio is probably your odds-on favorite, but you never know. It might have that some NFL debut success with a former Alabama quarterback as well, Jalen Hurts.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, that'd be an interesting when those prop bets of which one of those 3 guys has the best day. The easy answer is, of course, the Julio Jones, and if you're taking the favorite, that's probably who you're gonna pick. But Calvin Ridley really, really strong. Last year going over 1,000 yards received as well, and the Falcons, I think, in the draft that could make their already should be unstoppable, but could make their offensive passing game even more unstoppable with Kyle Pitts from Florida, which many thought was the best athlete, best player in the draft, even though he was the number 4 overall pick. That's that's a lot of weapons to have to stop just naming those 3, and that's not only all the weapons they have on the offensive side of the ball, Joe.
No, it's not the only weapons that they have on that side of the ball. I think that if they can get that going and get their defense back in shape, then the Falcons might find them back in contention for winning NFC South.
And I don't wish anybody to get hurt, but man, would it be cool? Would it be cool, Joe, to see Julio Jones on the receiving end of A.J. McCarron passes this year at that level? As A.J. has
if Matt Ryan maybe let's say jams a pinky or rolls something really minor, that'd be very fun to see. AJ throwing out to Julio and Calvin Ridley. He missed both those guys in his tenure, and I imagine that they would create some pretty good chemistry.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun and see. It would be a lot of fun. It's going to be fun. We know we're going to get to see Jalen Hurts throwing it out to it's kind of crazy that the conversation we're having right now 5 years ago would never have been possible. We're talking Alabama offensive guys, Jalen Hurts throwing to Devontae Smith, and which guy's going to have the best record. Then you flip over to another week one matchup, and you have the potential of two Alabama quarterbacks facing each other as starters in week one, throwing to an Alabama wide receiver and or an Alabama running back. Talking about Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones. If Jones is somehow able to flip the script on the New England Patriots and Cam Newton, it'll be a very, very interesting matchup. If that happens, who you got, Joe?
Oh, I'm going to take two in that first matchup because anytime you play in your first game, it's going to be difficult, and especially when you're matched up against Brian Flores and you're matched up. I think that Mac Jones will struggle, so I think that Tua will win that opening game.
And Tua got a new weapon as well, and Jalen Waddle, and of course the Dolphins think that they got a Tyreek Hill type player weapon in Jalen Waddle. So Tua is going to have a couple of receptions that he didn't have to throw the ball very far, Joe, to get started. So I would probably take as well. And if Mac Jones were able to win that, hey, this is another one of those things that really don't matter, that just stupid that pops in my head. Have you realized that Mac Jones and Cam, you just reversed their names and it's the same letters? I don't know why I thought about that, but Cam and Mac and flip the script. I guess when I said flip the script, it made me think about it. But yeah, do you think Mac Jones makes week one start, or do you think they slowly work him in?
No, I think they slowly are going to work him in. I think they're going to use Cam Newton to give him some time to make sure that he's ready. Makes his first NFL start.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way you do. I think that they'll probably take time to do that. Curtis Moore II, though, saying, "Hey, England defensive players are coming back for New England." So that's interesting. But either way, that was just a couple of interesting week one matchups. Coming back on the other side, I want to give you a chance to think through, if you were Nick Saban, who would you, or as Joe put it, Nick Saban could break college football by poaching these following players. Who would you poach from what roster or what position group if you don't have a specific player? If you were Nick Saban, you find the best what or the best player. Give us a name, give us a position, give us a title. That conversation coming up next right here on the Martin Houston Show. Thank you, Alabama One Insurance, alabama1insurance.com, your one source for all your insurance needs. If you have autos, home, if you are listening, I know you're alive and you will need life insurance. At some point, there will be a need. If you need that, or you may have some toys that you have, boats, RVs, motorcycles, etc., properly insured at a great rate, then you need to call Alabama One Insurance at 205-342-0112, or we make it easy for you. You can go to alabama1insurance.com and you can just put your information in there and request that quote online. We'll take care of it. We look forward to serving you. That's Alabama One Insurance.
100.9 traffic.
From the Nissan Traffic Center, no wrecks. Traffic pretty light as we Thursday morning. Now, if you do see conditions
hair at Ulta Beauty's gorgeous hair events happening right now. Get hair care happy with 50% off.
Right. With Views by You, you seven, 3 flavors, 3 nicotine levels, and infinite wrap designs. Make Views Auto a vape that is yours. In store now. Discover more at Views.com. Views, charge beyond. Vapor products, underage sale prohibited. Website and offers restricted to age 21 and over. Tobacco consumed.
With round-the-clock protection at a great price, your Progressive policy works the way it's supposed to. Unlike this unenthusiastic hype man.
Okay, everybody, let's make some noise. Hands up. Or not. It's your call. Here we go now. Here we go.
Switch to Progressive today.
It is electric in here.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The forecast of partly sunny sky today. Tuscaloosa's high at 73. For tonight, fair and cool with the low at 49. For tomorrow and Saturday, the sky's sunny both days with a warming trend. The high tomorrow is 77. Saturday's high at 81. I'm James Spain on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 50 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a 5292 680 or email scottis.net and visit them online at softmarkdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Start, Martin, you're on 3, 1.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. As we were going to break there, we were talking about getting into that conversation about where would you go if you were Nick Saban, if you were trying to build your roster, fill your roster, whatever way you want. I mean, whatever terminology you want to use. And Joe, what was your term, Joe? Football rosters of America, who would you get? And the question, Joe, before we get into some specific names, is if Nick Saban's able to go out and get these players, is that going to absolutely put college football on edge, on notice? Are they already nervous about this rule change? And will there be modifications in year one before the rule is even cooled off yet?
Yeah, the more players that Nick Saban can accumulate, the more nervous college football will be, and everybody wants to create more parity. But it seems like Nick Saban always knows how to take rules and make them work best for him. So I think you would see an outcry if Nick Saban got any more talent than we've already got from the transfer rule.
Is there one or two guys, Joe, that you think that? You know, they don't even have to necessarily be a position of need, just a big-time player that if those guys were to land here, the college football world would absolutely flip on its head?
Well, certainly, the guys on my list I didn't really think were likely possibilities. Put them
Right.
on my list for other, but yeah, any of the guys. If they got Kayvon Thibodeau, if they got Derek Stingley, if we got Jake, really any of the 5 guys that I wrote in my article, I think would really upset college football. Really upset college football.
Let's take a look, and then I'll throw a couple names in there as well. You look at Kayvon Thibodeau. For those of you who don't know, hey, I mean, he really liked Alabama. Like you said, I don't think he's coming, but he's one of those guys that defensive end. You know, is he the number one pass rusher and defensive end in the upcoming draft this year? Very likely, possibly. Would that guy absolutely would Thibodeau be the equivalent opposite of, because I think if he came in, I don't think he's going to take Will Anderson's spot. I mean, you may think Allen is the better of the two. I don't know, but would he do to the outside pass rush what Toa did to the inside if you put him on the other side?
Yeah, he would be a asset. I don't see him supplanting Will Anderson, but I do see him being on the field. You got to find a place for him on the field, and the more pressure you can bring off the edge, the more devastating you can be to opposing offenses. And you got Anderson on one side and Thibodeau on the other, and I think that you're really going to scare some quarterbacks.
Yeah. So then your next guy up was Derek Stingley, who potentially has been one of the top 2 or 3 countries since he stepped on a college campus. Of course, Devontae Smith had a field day and a great game against him, but all of a sudden you bring him in to replace Patrick Surtain with everything else coming back on this defense, and all of a sudden Alabama, Pat's prediction with him, all of a sudden probably becomes a reality, where he said Alabama would hold players and opposing opponents under 3 per game if you had a cornerback like Derek Stingley. Is he one of the best? If he matures and keeps progressing, would he be one of the top DBs coming out in the last 3 or 4 years? Not just this
year. For sure, he would be. If you were an option for Alabama to pull in, he would be right there. The guys that we've enjoyed watching, your Patrick Surtain and Marlon Humphreys, just go down the list of all the first round corners. He'd be right there with them.
Let me ask you a tough question, because I know how much you like Patrick Surtain. If you had those two and you were them, which guy you taking?
I'm still taking Surtain. Maybe just because I've watched him the last handful of years, or maybe it's just because he's ours, but I'm still taking.
That I guess Patrick got his freshman game over with his freshman year. Stingley got his freshman game over his sophomore year. Patrick had a tough job being thrown in as a true freshman and having to play at such an elite level, but rebounded. And of course, DBs is always an inch in how you grade and judge those guys. Because when they get beat, everybody sees it. But when they do their job, the other 65, 70 plays, no one sees them. So it's always an interesting. Here's one that's pretty interesting. Tight end, Jalen Watermeyer of Texas A&M. In your opinion, is he the best tight end out there?
Well, the best tight end not already on Alabama's roster. I really like Jaleel Billingsley, but I put him on the list mostly because of his established production already in college football. I also put him on the list because Alabama struggles covering tight ends last year. If we can remove the best tight end on our schedule, I think that would be our defense.
So he becomes the guy that quickly helps us the most on both sides of the ball, right? We don't have to cover him as well as we get the production. What are your thoughts since we're at that position? I know that people saying Eric Gilbert's going back to LSU, but I still hadn't seen that he's back in school. Some people say that's because of grades. Some people say he just hasn't ultimately. Eric Gilbert, Watermeyer, which guy you taking?
Ooh, I guess I'm probably gonna take well, crud. Gilbert is so talented. Off the field kind of issues. It kind of seems a little selfish to me. I guess I'll probably take Watermeyer just because he seems a little safer.
Yeah. So you're going with the safe pick and the guy that you know that's most likely going to be there. But I think possibly Watermeyer gives you more, Joe, in terms of I think Eric is probably a little better athlete and in space, but Watermeyer is so dangerous and so, but also probably is a little in line. Nick Saban does, still likes to put that tight end on the corner and block. And Watermeyer can help probably more at that in that spot possibly. Look at you going and getting an offensive lineman, Cade Mays from Tennessee. You bring him in and leave him at guard, or you move him to center?
I'm probably gonna move to center if I had to. But really, with this offensive line, you can really just plug him into either. I picked him because of the departures on the offensive line, losing Landon Dickerson and Deontay Brown and Alex Leatherwood. We're going to see a shuffle on the Alabama offensive line. And anytime we can, if you can go get one of the linemen, one of the better Josh Heupel's first year a little more difficult. I think that's a good move.
Well, another great thing about Cade Mays. Let me tell you what I think this offensive. I don't think talent's going to be an issue, Joe, on this team. But what Landon Dickerson brought to Alabama's offense, and to me, is even though to me offenses are more finesse now, right? They pass block a lot more. The run game is not as physically demanding, but it's something about that attitude and that nastiness that Landon Dickerson brought to this team. And to me, I think now Jedrick Wills is going to be a first round talent pick because of his talent level. But I think that nastiness that he developed playing alongside Landon Dickerson took him up to the level he ended up going. I think that nastiness. And to me, the one guy, I was thinking, man, I would love to have an offensive line, but I don't know. I couldn't think of any guys. But when I saw Cade May, I'm like, yeah, he's one of those old school guys. He is one of those, has the pedigree. And I think he would bring some of that same Landon Dickerson attitude that I'm not sure we're going to have with this team quite yet. What are your thoughts on that? And then we'll get to break.
I'm with you on that. You miss Landon Dickerson. You wonder where and Deontay Brown too. You wonder where the
nasty
is going to come from. Where the smelly offensive lineman who's gonna protect Bryce Young's when he's getting pushed around by a defensive lineman after a play like that. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, we're that nasty. I call it the old school nasty. Where's it going to come from? With Landon Dickerson, you just knew that there was a potential for 2 or 3 personal fouls or late hits or something somewhere in the season. You just kind of racked that up. And he started at, a -2 or 3 already, but you take that because of what he brought to his game as well as what he would bring to the other guys. And I think Kate may be one of those types of guys. We're going to go ahead and get the break here so we can get some recruiting news and updates from Hank South 247 Sports, and then we'll come back and reopen the playbook in the fourth quarter and talk about a couple other guys that may break college football if Nick Saban were able to convince them to come to the Crimson Tide. That conversation and more up next.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no wrecks. Traffic pretty light as we kick off our Thursday morning. Now, if you do see conditions, of course, give us a call, 205-886-8886. Other dealers may be out of inventory, but Townsend Nissan has an awesome selection. And yes, they really want your trade. Townsend Nissan, I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Of course we can help you gear up for that next oil change. We've got a great deal for the job. Right now you can get 5 quarts of Castrol GTX conventional or high mileage motor oil and an STP oil filter for just $28.99. And you can get it all fast, your way. Just order online with our free same-day store pickup or next-day delivery. Getting your job done just got easier. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
All right, is that a Q2 or Q3 expense?
Dwayne's CPA went MIA.
No.
To keep his books and his sanity, he needs to find a replacement ASAP.
Hey, Johnny, have you ever heard of a fungible good?
Indeed can help him hire the people he needs.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Overflow Express Wash, you heard them talked about. They now have that second location open in Northport on McFarland, just off of McFarland Boulevard. So stop by and see them. Absolutely opportunity for you to have your car looking good inside and out, that showroom clean feel and smell. That's overflowexpresswash.com. It's now time for us to catch up with Hank South, 247 online recruiting. We'll start off with Hank. You can tell that the recruiting world is getting close to returning back to the normal. NCAA making some announcements regarding that, but more importantly, you see a lot of tweets and posts about official visits. Give us an update on where the Alabama Crimson Tide is in terms of official visits for June.
Yeah, it's that's pretty much been all I've written about really the last few weeks is guys setting visit dates, setting plans to be at Alabama's camp next month, and kind of just get back to normal. Have kind of a normal recruiting summer like we're used to, not like last summer. Even though last summer was really big for Alabama on the recruiting circuit, but there weren't any camps, there weren't any visits. It was just Bama making a big run, getting commitments. But yeah, it's gonna be a pretty loaded month of June. There's 4 weekends. Every weekend there's at least one official visitor, if not multiple. That last weekend of June is looking like it's going to be the really big one. Guys like Walter Nolan, Denver Harris, Amari Abor. That's 3 5-stars right there that have already confirmed that they'll be on campus for an official visit that weekend. And then throughout the rest of the month, there's several others. I know this earlier this week, Steve Wiltfong of 24/7 Sports, he reported on June 18th, Arch Manning, Peyton Manning's nephew, the 2023 5-star quarterback, he'll be in Tuscaloosa for a visit. And, pretty much just name the recruit. They're likely taking a visit in the month of June to Alabama. So it's setting up to be a really, really significant, 4-week stretch for Alabama that I think could be pretty momentous, heading into the fall.
From what you've heard, Hank, last year changed Nick Saban's recruiting process, not out of want to, but out of necessity. Any of those potential changes in terms of the way he was doing things, do you see any of that carryover lingering, or you think he gets back to getting these guys on campus as soon as he can and as often as he can, moving on in early, or kind of waiting, whether he did it out of necessity or want to last year?
I think they're going to try to get back to as normal as possible. Maybe if anything going forward, this, lessens how much, maybe assistant coaches are on the road. I don't know. Maybe they make changes on travel or, how much they're going to, they feel they need to be out to see kids. I'm not sure, but I think most likely scenario is, we see, Bama try to get back to as normal as possible. And that's, having guys in on campus, seeing them in person, putting them through a workout, checking off those critical factors boxes that Nick Saban always talks about. For the last year they've had to, or year plus, they've had to kind of just go off of, high school tape, verified measurements as much as they could, seeing guys virtually and not being able to stand next to them or see them in person and work out. So I think they are going to certainly try to get back to that as much as they can. And, like I said, as far as, will they continue to incorporate some of these changes with the virtual recruiting stuff? I'm sure to some extent, with these virtual visits, I think those can be a really useful tool for a lot of guys. But I think they're going to try to get back to as much normalcy as they can when it comes to, live evals.
Well, I can tell you the virtuals and you guys are positioned, Hank, to be really, really good. If this class that Nick Saban just signed pans out like the 17 class did, and they had to rely a lot on what you guys had already done in terms of these verified numbers and young players, I think y'all stock may go up, just FYI. So because they had to lean on you guys a lot for verified numbers and then watching the film, because they weren't able to go out and get these numbers on some of these guys. Of course, Alabama in some cases were ahead on a lot, but Alabama brought in a lot of guys that were not necessarily high up on their immediate list, Hank, at the beginning of the COVID lockdown, it seemed like Alabama made headway in with a lot of guys with the video conferencing and the Zoom calling, and then, of course, using you guys' numbers.
Yeah, and I still think that the biggest thing, that really helped Bama throughout, the COVID recruiting area was just the brand. I think the schools that had the most success throughout this whole thing were kind of already the known commodities. The kids knew what they were going to get, and certainly Bama has a lot more ability, with resources as far as staffing and the virtual visit stuff and what to show and how to do it and how to kind of display it. I think that they had a built-in advantage right there, and then they just really, once they kind of got in their groove, obviously it was kind of slow that first little bit, April, but once they really figured it out, the NFL draft came around, things really just took off for them.
All right, we're speaking with Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. Pat, you're in with Hank South. What you got for him?
Good morning, fellas. Hey, your host has had a fantastic conversation. He wants to break college football. And my question for you today is JTT that player that will put Coach Saban over the top this fall with bookend, even though we already have a pair of bookends, or will this put him over the top, being able to keep everything going toward the middle if JTT comes to Alabama? What do you think?
I mean, it would certainly help, but I think you look at adding Henry T, adding Jamison Williams. I mean, the roster's already loaded. I mean, I think this is going to be a very, very tough team to beat this fall. I believe obviously JTT. Yeah, I think that would just make it that much tougher. But I think win or lose that recruitment, I don't think they're going to lose much sleep heading into the fall with the guys they have on the roster.
All right, and one more quick question. A player that I really, really like out of Montgomery, do you think that his competition in Montgomery is going to bode well for him being able to produce at the D1 level, and that is Perry? His numbers, it just looked like a video arcade as far as a tackling machine. What do you think?
But yeah, that's one guy I'm excited to kind of see how he performs next month at camp. I think with him, he's all about competing. He works out with that Madhouse Fitness group, which has produced guys like Mac Wilson, Sean Dion Hamilton, Henry Ruggs, a lot of big time talent from that training group. So he's with them from the very get go. I think entering his freshman season, maybe entering his sophomore. No, he's going into his freshman year. He went out to the National Combine in San Antonio, which, mostly kids that are going into their senior or junior year are the ones that are competing in it. He wanted to just go compete in it to see where he sized up against some of the nation's top talent. So he is not lacking that competitive edge. And I think he will be a very, very solid player at the next level. And, like I said, I'm excited to see how he performs next month at the camp.
Good deal. I appreciate that. It's fantastic information. And theory, though, I think that Coach Saban undoubtedly called Martin's show and told him what players he wanted to list that he wanted in the portal. And, hey, y'all.
All right. Thanks, Pat. Hey, as he mentioned, JT, of course, the most highly ranked player, probably in a long time to be uncommitted, if ever, at this point in a season, right? Probably since you guys have started ranking players. Have we ever had a guy number one, I think, in your ranking, and then number 1, 2, or 3 in everybody's ranking? Have we ever had a guy that going into a season uncommitted?
I don't think so. I think he's got to be the highest ranked. It's crazy to think of such a notable player, still undecided, entering almost the summer. But yeah, no, I think I think this is the first time the number one player of the top 247 has been uncommitted or unsigned since the last guy I can think of that was the highest ranked is Demetrius Robertson. that took, but he even committed, I think, in mid-May. So he didn't take it to take it to the summer either. So yeah, it's kind of wild.
When you look at this kid, what type of season, have their season finally wrapped up? I knew it was getting close, but what type of season did he have in his senior season? Did he help, hurt, or just kind of neutral because people know what they're getting?
No, I think, he wrapped the season. I think they had a 6-game slate out on the West Coast. And I think he helped himself just by the fact that, he wanted to play. He's not a kid that, needed to go out there and finish his senior season. He could have just, continued to do his recruiting process and work out and kind of just take off the season. I know a lot of kids did that, but, he wanted to compete. He wanted to play with his team. And I think that says a lot about, his competitive edge and character and all that. So, I think that only helped her from that standpoint. The highlights I saw of him, I thought he looked great. He plays tight end. He can kind of do a little bit of everything for his team, and he was dominant, which, the number one player in your rankings, you want to see dominate, and he did that pretty often throughout the 6-game slate. And I think he played basketball as well for his senior season. So he was not lacking in, finishing out his senior year on his athletic circuit. But no, I think he had a very strong year, and I don't think he hurt himself any. I mean, obviously the rankings are already done; he's not going to drop. But I think he just continued to kind of reinforce, where 24/7 Sports has him.
Yeah, it sounds like he's the type of kid that Nick Saban absolutely loves. He's competitive. He's not a single sport athlete, and he was willing to go out there and be with his team. So it sounds like a guy that, if we can get him, be a big get. Where are you crystal balling him to? And is there any other guys out there that's unsigned that may end up landing here in Tuscaloosa or anywhere else that could be impact players in year one?
Yeah, with JT, I haven't put in the crystal ball yet. I'm kind of hoping to hold out and wait until he takes the business and kind of see where things are at. Everyone thinks Ohio State, or at least leaning. If they had to pick, they're thinking Ohio State was very kind of a slight lean. So I'm kind of undecided at this point. As far as other guys, it's funny the conversation. It's funny watching the conversation kind of evolve after Bama lands Jamison Williams from Ohio State, and everyone says, "Oh, well, okay, they're done. They can't take Henry To'oTo'o. They don't have any more room." And then next week they land Henry To'oTo'o, and then surely that means they're not going to get JT Tuimoloau if they're taking Henry To'oTo'o, and lo and behold, Bama looks to still be recruiting JT. So it's kind of wild, how this transfer portal stuff is happening. I haven't heard of any other unsigned or other guys in the transfer portal, but again, these guys can transfer anytime they want. It's kind of funny. Last night I was talking to Keith Niebuhr, our Auburn 24/7 Sports writer. He said that he was speaking with TJ Finley, who just put his name into the portal from LSU, and he said he had talked to Alabama. So I don't think anything's happening there. But this just goes to show that you recruit high school, now you got to recruit the transfer portal. So there's kind of this new thing. But TJ Finley, again, I think he could go to Auburn. We'll see where he ends up, but I don't think he's going to come to Alabama. So yeah, we'll kind of keep an eye on him.
Yeah, TJ Finley, the big quarterback from LSU. Oh wow! But he said he had talked to Alabama.
Yeah, he said he was talking. And again, kids be like, who knows what that means?
Right.
They follow on Twitter. But he said he was. He said he talked to most of the SEC. He mentioned Georgia. I think he said who else? Keith Niebuhr. If you're a 24/7 Sports subscriber, Keith Niebuhr has a story up on the op site, kind of what he's talking about. So if you want to check that out.
All right. Speaking of Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. Hank, any other news you want to share with us that may get the Alabama folks excited about the 2022 class, or any other recruiting news that's happening?
Yeah, I think just, buckle up for the month of June. I think it's going to be a wild, 4-week stretch. I mean, besides just the official visits, there's 8 single-day camps. You got major visitors coming in just for unofficial visits outside of the official visit slate. So I think it could be a big month. I expect some commitments. I expect, some big news, some shakeups, maybe some surprises. Who knows? So, get ready now, get all the info ahead of it. and then we'll have a good time in the month of June.
All right, if they want to stay in the know and go ahead and be prepared to have the source for all of the recruiting news, where can they get that information from you guys?
Yeah, BamaOnline.com. If you sign up today, it's you can do $1 for your first month, so that gets you through that first little part of June. Hopefully, you want to stick around at that point, and continue to be a part of the community. My Twitter handle, I tweet most of my stuff or retweet some of the recruits, is at HankSouth247.
All right, that's at HankSouth247. $1 for the first month. If you sign up today, you can close out the month of May and get the first half of the month of June for $1. And as Hank said, maybe you'll want to stick around because you don't want to lose out on all that good news as guys start committing into June. Thanks, Hank. We'll catch up with you next week, sir. Appreciate all you do. We'll be back on the other side to put the finishing touches on this edition of the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a wreck on MLK Junior Boulevard. The roadway is blocked between Malisham Parkway and 35th Street, so you'll need to use an alternate route. Everything else looks good. If you see conditions, give us a call. Other dealers may be out of inventory, but Townsend Nissan has an awesome selection. And yes, they really want your trade. Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good morning. The District 7 special Tuscaloosa City Council election will probably be in late July, according to incoming council president Kip Tyner. The new council takes office Monday, but the District 7 seat will remain open after a federal judge declared the general election for that seat, now held by Sonia Bacchestri, to be invalid. That's because winner Cassius Lanier was not eligible to run at the time because he had not received pardons for felony convictions. He has since received those pardons. I'm Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
At Northport Auto Supply, we understand there's nothing worse than a dead battery. So to keep this from happening, be sure you periodically check your battery, including the terminals for corrosion. And if you ever need help, then come by Northport Auto Supply and let our knowledgeable professionals check your battery for free. Northport Auto Supply has the area's largest inventory of batteries in stock, and we'll even install it for you at no charge. Northport Auto Supply. Why go anywhere else?
Townsend Nissan Tuscaloosa has a great supply of new cars, trucks, and SUVs in stock, and we're ready to find them a new home today. With offers like this, the hot new 2021 Nissan Kicks starting at only $19,990, and Pathfinders and Muranos discounted up to $5,000. Wow! And yes, Townsend Nissan wants that trade-in. We'll pay top dollar for it. And with pre-owned units starting at only $10,990, that's savings, folks. And yes, we have plenty of Frontiers and Titans in stock. You and Townsend Nissan, that's the makings of a great car deal.
All right, is that a Q2 or Q3 expense?
Dwayne's CPA went MIA.
No.
To keep his books and his sanity, he needs to find a replacement ASAP.
Hey, Johnny, have you ever heard of a fungible good?
Indeed can help him hire the people he needs.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, Martin, you're hot right now. You got 3 minutes.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Joe, we were talking earlier about which player would you poach that may break the bank. You even threw a surprising player in there. You threw a punter in from Georgia, young man Jake Camarda of Georgia, averaging 46.6 yards. But what's crazy, 50 punts inside the 20. I mean, now, of course, that means that Georgia's offense was probably stalling out at about midfield, but it shows his efficiency, Joe, in terms of doing his job. Coach Stallings used to always say, just think about how few times a team can take the ball 80 yards and score a touchdown on you. It doesn't happen very often when you look at the course of a season, and 50 times, at least 50 times, he made teams have to go 80 yards or further just to get a touchdown. So a weapon, SEC Special Team Player of the Year. I'm going to throw one out to you, Joe, even though we don't need him, and even though it was a controversy that was quickly put to bed. If Justin Ross, an Alabama native that liked Alabama but chose Clemson, were to enter the portal and come to Alabama, would college football be broken immediately with this transfer portal rule?
Yeah, college football would definitely be broken if you can get Justin Ross, a guy who looks like another first-round draft pick. Oh, man, that makes people very upset.
I was thinking, man, you have to be crazy to think. But I know you and I are joking, Joe. I know, we were having fun with that. We talked about it yesterday. You did a great job writing the article on it. And like I said, if you want to see that article in detail and other great stories, go to Tide109.com. But the reality of it is, Joe, the conversation we're having literally can happen to some degree in college football now, right? Literally. Nick Saban and his staff can go, okay, who's out there right now that will be a junior or be a experience next year as the season goes along, that our program. And they're going to be able to, how they communicate, I don't know. Will they have free reign? I don't know. But I do know that the conversations we're having right now about getting top players can really happen. Toa came here. He went into the portal to go to – he wasn't leaving Tennessee. He was coming to Alabama. Jameis Williams wasn't leaving Ohio State. He was coming to Alabama when he went into the portal. I think we'll see more of that moving forward. That wraps up today's show, the Martin Houston Show. We didn't get to all the plays in the playbook, so we'll be back here tomorrow about more of what's happening. Alabama softball kicking off and playing today. May they take care of their business and continue on their 10-game win streak as they move forward. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide and have a blessed day. Right here, a celebration.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide.